I'm sure many of us were thinking that Nintendo had just forgotten about Mario Maker 2, since they've been pretty silent about it. However, early this morning, Nintendo posted a video announcing a brand new update. It includes a ton of new course elements and a new mode, more than any update from Mario Maker 1. So today, I want to go over my thoughts on everything they revealed, and sprinkle in some analysis when need be. I'll be going over some ways that I think these could be used in the future. So without much further ado, let's jump right into it. First off is the Spike enemy, one of my most wanted new features. Basically, Spike will be able to throw spike balls towards the player. In Mario 1 and 3, it'll hover in the air, while in the other themes, it'll stay on the ground. This is great as it's really one of the first things to really complement the slopes. I think it could be really cool if a player has to maybe lead a spike ball to destroy some blocks, or maybe it could be some sort of chase sequence. It's interesting how the small ones can activate blocks as well. Maybe they could also activate on-off blocks to make timer setups. In the snow theme, they will instead sprout snowballs, which seem to be similar to spiky balls, however Mario can safely jump on them and throw them around. We see later on in the trailer that these snowballs can be placed on their own, which is very nice to have. Now I definitely think that the gravity iron balls are better than the ones in Mario 1 and 3, as at that point they're kinda just defeatable bullet blasters. However, these are still definitely useful for many things, and we see later on in the trailer that we might be able to make these affected by gravity. Now, while we don't get to see Spike in 3D World, it does seem like it will be present there, which is great. So overall, Spike is a great addition, and will help being a good enemy, and even a component in many complex things. So him and the Snowball are definitely great additions. Next up is the other new enemy of the trailer, the Pokies. Also, by the way, I totally predicted these guys in my DLC predictions video. 2 out of 5 predictions coming true, not too bad all things considered. But anyways, these guys are going to be really helpful for making the desert theme feel more complete. Before, we didn't really have any enemies or items that complemented the desert theme aside from the angry sun, which isn't that, well, great of an item. I think this guy's best use will be in traditional levels. Since we don't know how the Pokies will interact with other things as of now, it's hard to say how it might be used in complex contraptions. Either way, it's a great addition, and the Poki has been my most wanted enemy since Mario Maker 1. The snow theme and nighttime gimmicks are cool for this guy as well. I wonder how tall we'll be able to make these guys, and if they can be stacked on other enemies. Will tall Pokies count for the same amount of space in the entity cap as smaller Pokies? So many questions I can't wait to find out about. Again, this is another one that's in all 5 themes, so overall the Poki is pretty good. We need to know more about it before I can say it's great, but that makes it all the more fun to experiment with upon release. Next up is the frozen coin block. But before we get to that, let me just say that all I can think about when I see these blocks is 9-7, the hardest level in New Super Mario Bros. Wii. But anyway, these are super interesting. They melt if they come into contact with anything fire related, whether it be fireballs, burners, fire bars, the angry sun, Bowser, etc. I could see these being pretty useful for making a reward setup for a player if they, say, survive a section with a fire flower. This could also lead to some tricky platforming. There's also a lot of questions I have about this block as well. What happens if a P-switch is on? Can it have a parachute? Or can it be placed on tracks? If the coin is collected, do the blocks respawn if the room is reset? So many questions that I'm really excited to test out. This seems like it'll be fairly helpful in making secrets in traditional levels, or maybe even some contraptions. The only sad thing about this is that they aren't in 3D World. But overall, still, it's a good addition. Next up is the P-switch block. To me, these kind of seem like another version of the on-off blocks. Having both these P-switches and on-off blocks can be pretty helpful for really complex contraptions, especially considering there's no on-off blocks / dotted line blocks in the 3D World theme. To be honest though, since these work similar to how P-switches already worked, these are probably the most underwhelming change. However, maybe my opinion will change once they release. So as of now, it's okay overall. Next up is the 3D World exclusive item, the dash block. This looks like it'll be fun, and will be very cool in platforming levels. Since the 3D World theme isn't too complex, we'll likely won't be able to use this outside of platforming. However, these provide for a much faster pace than conveyor belts will allow, and new ways for platforming in 3D World, so this is a pretty nice addition. And for the final new course element, the biggest new addition of this patch, the Master Sword. Exclusive to Mario 1, he can become Link from The Legend of Zelda. Unlike the mystery mushrooms from Mario 1, this will actually allow Mario to use some of Link's abilities, such as his sword, shield, bow, and bombs. This will be great for making new types of Zelda levels and puzzle solving ones. With all the new abilities, this will be a great new way to play. The only thing about this power-up is that it probably isn't good for traditional levels, as it's really overpowered, but still this will allow for brand new types of levels to appear. Also, this brings up the question on if we might get more costumes like this and characters in the future. I think we might. Maybe characters like Kirby or Samus could appear with their own unique abilities. I would like to see Kirby the most, because maybe he could copy enemies as well. That'd be pretty cool. The Link costume also seems to play the Legend of Zelda overworld theme once collected, like how the Super Ball flower plays the Mario Land overworld theme. It also seems like a new sound effect from the Legend of Zelda might have been added, the famous puzzle-solving sound effect. However, this could have just been done for the trailer. This is a super cool addition and will add a bunch of variety into levels. I'm really excited to see all the new Zelda dungeon levels in the future. Next up is the final thing, Ninja Speedrun mode. It looks pretty fun, with you going up against several other players on some pre-made Nintendo courses. This looks like a fun little mode. However, there are still several questions I have to ask about it. How many ninjas can play with you? Does this mode keep track of the world record? And finally, do you get rewards for getting a certain time? Many things we'll have to find out when it releases. But for the final and worst change for this update, as someone who's trying to collect all of the Mii costumes, they just had to go and add more. Now the Ninja mode ones don't seem too bad, just like clearing 10 levels to get 4. The main problem I have is that these aren't the only new costumes being added, as we can see another hat and another shirt slot present. We don't even get to see the pants and the suit slot, so I'm just going to assume that there's one more for each of them. All I can hope for this is that the achievements for these aren't something like get 1000 super expert clears, or have a world record in the Ninja speedrun mode. But anyways, those are my thoughts on this update for now. Overall, this looks great, and I'm really excited to see what players do with each of these new features. If I had to rank them from my favorite to least favorite, I'd probably say the Spike, Master Sword, Poki, which are all pretty much tied. Snowballs, Frozen Coin, the P-Block, and the Dash Block. But everything in this update is great. What are your all's favorite new feature? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like or maybe even subscribe, as it'd help the channel a huge bunch. I cannot wait to play this update on Thursday, which is very soon. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.